Welcome all to this third session of the course Finite Element Methods for Beginners. In first two sessions we have discussed basic fundamentals of partial differential equation, and then second session we discussed about the finite element method, its capabilities, different steps involved in finite element method. In this particular session, we will be discussing direct method of developing element equation and then to write system equation based on the element equation, and finally the boundary condition modifications of the system equation that we developed. So let us begin with our session. So now we will try to find out the element equation. Let us take one simple example of a bar subjected to axial load F. Let the modulus of elasticity is E, L is the length of the bar, and A is the area of cross section. So we know that K, the stiffness of the bar, is given by EA over L, and this EA over L we get from our basic knowledge of Hooke's law. This F over AE is equal to delta L over L, so this gives us F over delta L, that is the stiffness. This is equal to AE over L. So in discretization, let us assume it is divided in two elements. So the global numbering is 1, 2, 3, and let us say coordinate here is x1, x2, and x3. The field variable may be u1, u2, and u3. So general representation of a bar element is like this. This is, let us say, element number eth element. We can have the ith node, jth node, the ith coordinate xi, and ji is the coordinate of jth node. Ua is the field variable or the displacement for ith node and jth node, and this is the load acting on ith node of eth element, and this is the load on jth node of eth element. So now we can draw the free body diagram of node 1, ith node. So we get this Fi, and the if the force from this eth element on this will be ui minus uj. This ui minus uj is positive, it means ui is more than it. So when this is compressed, the force will be on this in this direction. So if this is the free body diagram of node 1, it means it should satisfy this equation of equilibrium. So we can write down this Fi minus k of eth element. Here also this superscript e will be there, k times ui minus uj. Now we can write the equation for node number 2. Here if uj is more, then in that case it will be extended and the force will be applied in this direction, and this force is equal to ke uj minus ui. So now again this is in static equilibrium, so it should satisfy the equation of equilibrium. So now we have, oh sorry, here also it should be equal to 0. So now we have two equation number 1 and equation number 2. If I write these equations by transferring load term on the right hand side, I get from equation number 1 k for eth element ui plus k for eth element uj equal to minus fi. I have transferred this and open this bracket. If I take minus common, so let us say this is equation number 3. From equation number 2, what we get, we transfer this and open this, we get, again taking this negative sign common, so that this is positive right hand side. So we get minus ke ui, so this minus sign make this minus, then this is plus ke uj, that is equal to fj for eth element. Now we have two equations, equation number 3 and equation number 4. We can write these equations in matrix form. We get the matrix ke, this is ke, the second term is minus ke, then the second equation is this minus ke and plus k, and it is to be multiplied with the vector ui and uj, and it is equal to fi of eth element and fj of eth element. So this equation that we obtain is known as element equation, and the method that we have used for the basic principle, using basic principle of statics, is direct method. So this is element equation based on direct method. So what does it mean? That if we want to apply this equation, the general base element equation for element number 1, so if we apply for element number 1, how can we write this? First of all, we draw the element. This is my element, so let me draw it here. This is node number 1, node number 2, element number 1. So we have the local node number and global node number terms in this, because every bar element with two noded bar element, linear bar element, will have first node number as node number 1 always, and second node number as node number 2, whatever may be the element number, and that node number is the local node number for the element. And global node numbering is taken from this discretization figure. So this is the discretized figure, and this is a local element that we are drawing, 2D linear element. So this is local node number, and in this particular case element number 1, the global node number are also same. So local node number and global node number in this case both are same. So now we can apply this equation for this element. How can we write? Let us first write this matrix form. This is k1, because E is equal to 1, minus k1 minus k1 and k1, and here u1, that is the nodal displacement field variable at node number 1, and u2, that is field variable at node number 2, and this is equal to F. I is 1 and E is also 1. So this is how I can write this equation. I can apply the general element equation for two noded bar element or linear bar element. So the other important thing that we should understand here, this matrix is known as element stiffness matrix. Now if we apply this same equation for element number 2, so this is my local node numbering and this is my global node numbering, because element number 2 is this. This is element number 1 and this is element number 2. So now we can see this is element number 2. So first node, first node of local element number 2 is node number 2 here, and second node is node number 3. So these are local node number and this is global node number. So now we can apply this equation here, element equation for element number 2. We can write here this K2. So this is how we can write down the element equation for a simple bar element. So now we can try to develop the element equation for thermal problem and fluid problem using the direct method. Then we will proceed to know how to assemble these. Take a simple example of a heat transfer problem in 1D. For eth element, we can assume that if this is the element that we are considering in one dimension, this is the temperature Ti on the ith node, temperature Tj on the jth node of eth element. So this is what an element will look like for this heat transfer problem. The parameters, the number of parameters will remain same, only the name will change. The U is replaced by T and F is replaced by Q. So we can write down in the same form element equation for this is, we write here it is K T representing the thermal portion, thermal stiffness component, and here it is field variable, that is Ti and Tj, Qi for eth element and Qj for eth element. So this is the element equation for a simple heat conduction problem, where Kt for eth element is given by the thermal conductivity, coefficient of thermal conductivity of eth element, the cross section area of eth element, and the L of eth element, where Kt, as we have discussed, this is thermal stiffness, and sometime we also called it as thermal stiffness, and we also call it as thermal influence matrix. T is temperature vector and Q is heat load vector. So element equation now we can write down like this. So it is Kt for eth element, this is T for eth element, this is in short form, this is equal to Q in eth element. Likewise for the stress analysis we can also write in the same way, that it is K, that is stiffness matrix, and we have U, the displacement vector, and we have F for force vector, and the superscript is E, that is for eth element, because we are talking about the element equations. So now if we consider a flow problem, 1D flow problem, then flow through a pipe is given by Q is pi d cube divided by 128 L mu. So this is a general equation for flow through pipe at between 2 points. So if we write this equation for a node, then this I will be 1 will be replaced by I and 2 will be replaced by J. So the element equation for this case will be Kp. Then we have the nodal variable Pi and Pj. We can write in short form that this is Kp and known as fluidity matrix in CFD analysis, the nodal pressure vector and nodal flow vector for earth element. So this is how we can write down for the simple cases using the direct method the element equations. And now we will go to how to assemble all these element equations by continuing with the example of stress analysis, the axially loaded for axially loaded member. The element stiffness matrix we write, if we take KT 1 common, it can be easily written as 1 minus 1 1 1, and here it is U1 U2, that is equal to F1 1 F2 1. Similarly, we can write for element number 2, it is KT for element number 2, 1 minus 1 minus 1 1, and this is U2 U3, and this is equal to F1 F2 element number 2 and F3 element number 2. So for assembling these two equations into a system equation, what we have to do, we have to first mark the local numbering. This is node number 1, node number 2, node number 1, node number 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. These are the local number. Similarly, we can mark the global numbers. So in case of global number, let us mark global number here. So this is node number 1 global, this is node number 2 global, node number 1 global, 2 global, and let it be here it is node number 2, because the first node of second element is node number 2. So it is node number 2. Second node of second element is node number 3. So that is how we have marked the global and local node numbering. So to write down the assembled matrix, what we have to use, we should write global number 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. Now let us take each element. So this element is KT multiplied by 1. So it is KT, and this is local node number 11, which correspond to global node number 11. So this is global node number 11. We will shift it here KT1. Next is minus KT, which is local 1 and 2 is corresponding to global 1 and 2. So that is why it will be global 1 and 2 minus KT here. This is local node number 2 and 1, global also 2 and 1, so it will come here global 2 and 1. Last, this is plus. So last is 1, it is local 2 2 and global 2 2, so that is why it will come here KT element number 1. Now come to this second element. The local number is 1 1. This local number 1 1 correspond to global number 2 2. So this element kt multiplied by 1 will go at 22 global number. So global number 22 is here, so here it will be added by the influence of second element. So now come to this, it is minus 1 multiplied by kt at 1 2 which correspond to 2 3. So this minus kt2 will go at 2 3 globally, so it is 2 3, so minus kt for second element. This now come to this, so minus 1 is globally it should go 3 2, so this is 3 1 3 2, so here it will come kt 2, and finally this kt it will go 3 3, so it will come here minus kt 2, and the other element will be considered as 0. And this is the nodal displacement. It is u1, u2, u3, the displacements at nodal point with reference to the global numbering. Here this f11 will come, f11, f21, so it is f21 the global node number 2, this is local number, this is global number, so this is local number and this is global number. So this will come at row 2, so this will be here, so f2 node number 2, so then it is f3 of second element. So this is how we get element system equation for the domain, and this can be written as k times k, the displacement vector that should be equal to the force vector for this. K is, as such, it is called as system stiffness matrix. U is known as global nodal vector, and this is known as global load vector. We can also call it a system nodal vector, system load vector, or this also we can call it as global stiffness matrix. So both system and global, both terms are in use. You can use at your convenience what you want to use. So now we are done with assembling the equations, element equations into system equations. So now we get a set of algebraic equations in matrix form. We have to apply the boundary conditions so that the singularity of this matrix is done with, and then we can solve this problem. This is the system stiffness matrix that we obtained in our last slide, and this is for two elements, and we can see from here that these terms are related with the element number 1 and these terms are related with element number 2. So we can see that if we have this block, so this block is having the contribution of element number 1 and this block is having the contribution of element number 2, and here we have the contribution of both element number 1 and element number 2. If we expand this situation for 5 noded element, then we can write down like this. Here we will be having k1 minus k1, then all 0 1 2 3, because we have 5 nodes in this 4 elements. Here it is minus k1 plus k2 minus k2, then it is 0 and 0. We have 0 here, it is minus k2 and k2, then 0 0 here, and with this, because here we will be having the contribution of third element as well, so here we write k3 as well, and here we'll also have minus k3, and here we'll have minus k3 and k3 with contribution from fourth element as plus k4, and here also we have minus k4, here minus k4 and k4. So all these terms are set as 0. So this is what basically we have the generalized stiffness matrix for 1D bar element. So we can observe few things in this, that this is a banded form of matrix. Here we have this, only this much band is populated with some terms, and also it is symmetrical. So this is banded in nature, it is symmetrical, it is sparse as well. So all these are the important properties of this stiffness matrix. The bandedness and sparseness reflects the connectivity of the finite element mesh, because each element has relatively few nodes compared to all system nodes, and only few elements shares each node. I suppose it is clear that each element is connected to only two nodes. Suppose we have 100 nodes in a domain, discretized domain, then but each element is connected to only two nodes, other 98 nodes are connected to some other element. So that is why it is a banded form. So numbering of these elements, these nodes on each element is very important, especially when we go for 2D noded element, or 2D elements or 3D elements, when we go for 8 noded 3D elements or 20 noded 3D elements, brick element. So in that case, the numbering of this complete discretized domain, node numbering of this complete discretized domain is very important to fix what is the size of the band of this matrix, because this reduces not only the storage space, but this also facilitate us for fast computation of our simultaneous equation. So let us now discuss how to modify the system equations for boundary conditions, and for that we are assuming the 5-noded discretization. So there are 5 nodes, and that is why the system stiffness matrix is of 5 into 5, and nodal variable vector is 5 into 1, and nodal force vector is 5 into 1. The size of this matrix depends on how many nodes are there and how many degrees of freedom per node is there. So the element, the system matrix equation will be node multiplied by degree of freedom per node. So that is how we can identify what will be the size of our stiffness matrix. If we assume that the conditions, prescribed conditions or the boundary conditions are given at node number 2 and node number 4, then we can write down this node number 2 boundary condition as u2p and node number 4 boundary condition as u4p. Now these steps we have to follow for modifying the equation, the system matrix. Set all the rows and columns of stiffness matrix as 0 such that Kii is equal to 1 for prescribed boundary condition at ith node. So in this example we have assumed that this I would be 2. So here for this case I is 2 and for this case I is equal to 4. We will apply this on this when we after going through all these steps. And in the second step, replace ith row of the load vector by prescribed value. That ith row, that again second row of the load vector is to be replaced with this prescribed value. Fourth is to be replaced with this prescribed value. Subtract product of prescribed value and the corresponding stiffness matrix element from the nodal vector. So we have to subtract the prescribed value and the corresponding element. For row number 1, the corresponding element is K22. For row number 3, corresponding element is K32 and K52. For first boundary condition, that is at node number 2, and then we have K14, K34 and K54 for prescribed value at node number 4. So now we can substitute, now we can apply these steps on this. So if we apply the first step, that is set all the rows and columns of stiffness matrix as 0 such that Kii is 1. So we will make this as Kii 1, will make this as 1 and all these as zeros. The second row, second column, fourth row and fourth column, except this. So it means what we are left with K11 0, K13 K15, and here it is 0 1 0 0 0, K31 0, K33 0, K35 0 0 0 1 0, K51 0, K53 0, K55. So this is what we get as modified stiffness matrix, and there is no change here. It is U1, U2, U3, U4, U5, and there is change in the rows of this load vector F1 minus product of U2P. It is the product of prescribed value. That prescribed value at node number 2 is U2P multiplied by K12, that is K12 here, and this we are only applying the second node. Here it is U2P, here it is F3 minus U2P multiplied by K32, here it is U4P, and here it is UF5 minus U2P multiplied by K52. And for U4P, we have to again subtract this U4P multiplied by K14 minus U4P multiplied by K34 minus U4P multiplied by K32. 5 4. So this is how the system equation is modified, and now we get u2. You can say you will get u2 as u4 and u4 as u4p. So on other terms that we can find out u1 u3 u5. So in this type of boundary condition modification, we get only the displacement or the nodal vector, but we need what are the reactions wherever we have specified these boundary conditions. So for that we have another way of modifying boundary condition, is slightly different, but we can quickly move to that. If in this case we have to modify in such a way that F2 is replaced where the boundary conditions are specified. So we have replaced this U2 by F2, U4 by F4, and then we have done the same process of subtracting the product of prescribed value, the corresponding values of the stiffness matrix, and finally replacing only the column as 0 and the pivot as -1. So if we modify the boundary the system equation using this, we get both u1 f2 u3 f4 and u5. So here this f4 and u4 will be the reactions. So from one solution we get both displacement as well as reactions, and this is rather more uh, desired way of modifying boundary condition, but the earlier one is also popular. We can modify boundary conditions according to that and we can get the desired result. So that's all for this particular session of development of element equations, system equations, and then modifying the boundary conditions. Set of equations can be solved to get the final desired result. So in the next session, we will be learning how to use LISA for analysis purpose. Thank you all the viewers for attending the session. Thanks a lot.